everybody, and welcome back to another episode here on the J72 Gaming Channel. My name is Jacob, but you can just call me Jay here. And if you're just joining us in this episode from the time-lapse video, welcome aboard. It's good to have you. And if you have... Whoa, hello there. I'm speaking. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, I'm going to be posting just the time-lapse version of every episode, but of this episode as a companion video going up at the exact same time. So if you guys would just like to see the time-lapse portion of this build, you guys can go ahead and check out that video. But if you like to kind of get the ins and out of what's going on in the episode and what's going on in this game, join me here in this episode as we kind of talk about everything going on. And I'm having camera issues. But yes, so we're hanging out here with the T-Rexes that we made last time, and I wanted to show you guys what I've done. I have spent quite a few hours here planning the park. As I zoom out, you're going to see quite a lot here. Kind of planned in the park on a macro scale, right? I really planned out every exhibit and kind of the terrains and where things are going to go. And that really, I had to kind of come through here and do just really rough draft paths and stuff to kind of let me know kind of where some of the exhibits are going to be. Like there's a volcano one over here coming. We've got a marshland area. We've got like a Great Valley section over here and some rocky terrain. So we will get to those in time throughout the episodes as I'm doing all the exhibits for the different dinosaurs. But today we're going to focus back in on basically the same exhibit that we did last time, the T-Rexes, but I'm going to expand them. I'm going to expand them out to basically be the biggest exhibit in the park, really, but that's mainly just because I want them to have more space than just those little tiny exhibits. We really want to fill up the park, the map boundaries that they've given us, so that's what I'm going to go for. So yeah, today we're going to be working on making basically a mountain for these T-Rexes, and we're still going to be going with Temperate Forest, so Temperate Forest T-Rex exhibit. And I'm going to mainly focus in on detailing out the sections that we can see from the windows. You can go really detailed on this whole thing, but that would take me hours, right? And I just really don't have that much time, but it is really fun to kind of pick out a few little spots to make really good. So basically any spot that the guests are going to be able to go up here, that's when I'm going to spend super extra time placing down modularly, like every single specific rock and tree and really make it look like I want. So yeah, we've got some of that. I want to show you guys this too. I went ahead and knocked out kind of a starting transition zone plaza area or a food court, really, with the T-Rex Cafe. So you can tell on the left here we've got Temperate Forest, and on the right we've got start of the wetlands and the swamps and stuff. So this place is a little bit of both, and they kind of merge together. And I wanted to deck out this path as well, so I don't have benches everywhere, but on certain spots you'll be able to see some paths, or some benches, excuse me. But I really just kind of wanted it to be a leisurely stroll through the woods, right? Certain parts of the park are going to be very sparse and kind of like you're in nature. Oh, I need to move that tree. Look at that. But then certain parts will feel more like a plaza and that you're in an actual zoo. I went and redid over here. You'll see this is what I'm talking about with the benches. And I have built probably my favorite spot in the park so far. I'm sure it will change, but there's just this little seating area over here. There's no exhibit behind you. There's no dinosaurs. It's just a pond with the nature that shows up, probably birds and stuff. But there are sections like this in zoos that don't actually have exhibits. They're just kind of good nature spots. So I thought I'd fill the space there. So yeah, guys, without much further ado, let's jump into the time-lapse section of this where I'm going to deck out the whole mountain here. I'm going to start with some terrain paint and try to make it look as good as I can, add some trees and probably a lot of rocks today to make it look good. Working with rocks is pretty difficult. It just takes a lot of time to kind of just add them a bunch. So we'll see how crazy I go with that. But yeah, basically there's just going to be a few detailed out spots, and I might deck this place out just for us to enjoy without the guests, and that can be the where they actually go to sleep or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, without further ado, let's dive in the time lapse. Enjoy. All right, everybody, welcome back. Time lapse is complete. The Temperate Forest T-Rex exhibit is also complete with that. So I wanted to bring you guys in here and kind of show you the view from each spot, but also knock down this wall. Let's make it official, and let me get out of hiding the HUD. Let's grab our demolition tool here, and let's open these gates so that the T-Rexes can roam the full pen. There they go. Now, obviously, again, this exhibit is absolutely huge for just two. But I don't know. Think of it as a reserve, right? Maybe it's not a zoo; it's a reserve. So like they've got some wide open ranges to wander. But let's go ahead and take a look at kind of the main areas that I worked on here. First one being, I guess, this spot because we're over here. So this is the spot where the guests are going to view it from here, and I really wanted this to be kind of feel like a very tight creek, right? So it's got a lot of these. I think they're mangroves. I could be incorrect with that. Let's see what they call these. They call these the Bengal bamboos. So the bamboos here are close to the water's edge. I added some rocks and really wanted this to feel kind of like the secluded creek at the backside of the mountain. So you can kind of look up there and I did a bit of rock work, but again, like I said, rock work takes so long, and they don't actually have a randomized rock work tool in this like they do the trees. So if you imagine if I spent 12 more hours and decked this entire area out with rocks, that would be how I would want it to look. But just kind of dotting it here and there, I think looks all right. So moving down the river here, we got this cool little spot that I like. I just kind of thought of it on the spot. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna add some rocks there. I like how that looks. So I threw that there, and I think that's gonna be a really cool spot. If we can ever catch the T-Rex kind of hanging out in this pen, it's gonna be a really cool photo shot and moment. I'll actually take the HUD off here for you guys. So another spot is over here. And my thought with this one is kind of an open birch forest field, right? So I had three trees to work with. I had the oak tree, the birch tree, and the elm tree, I believe. So for here, I wanted kind of an open field. And when you take a look from above, you can kind of see how the whole landscape feeds into this, right? So this is just kind of yeah, that's kind of the aspect of this that I was thinking of, a kind of a open field with birch. And then if you look to the right here, you'll have the main river coming off of the mountain, which will eventually extend into this exhibit. And I know the fence looks a little weird, but you got to do what you got to do, right? With the tools at hand. If I could, it would be a very tall um, fence, but in this game I either have to raise the ground up so that the fence is higher, or I just have to deal with it the way it is. So we're gonna deal with it the way that it is. I don't think that it's that big a deal. But this view over here, I like this one. This one is kind of a little bit of everything, right? You're looking across the water, you're looking at the elm trees up at the top there, and then as you get lower here, you've got the birch forest, which opens to some plains with some oak trees, some token oak trees on top of the hill with all that bamboo kind of lining the sides and some bushes and stuff. So I really like this shot. It's one of my favorites that I'm pretty proud of. Moving through here, we've got some kind of rock fields, and that all leads into this viewpoint here, which is basically a rock pit, right? You'll also notice something that I'm pretty excited to use is that they give me two different colors of birch trees. So I really wanted this area over here to be dry, barren, very dead. So I kind of merged the trees. So it starts with just the green birch, and then you go over here. It's got green and tan, kind of drying birch, and then you go over here, and it's just the dry birch, but only around that. Everywhere else is by a mountain. It's got lots of temperature, got lots of moisture. I mean, so it's yeah, able to get green everywhere else. Now over here is very open and plain. Kind of looks a little bit boring, but I kind of wanted that. Sometimes less is more when you're designing out these exhibits, and I thought that having at least one section that really doesn't really have much, right? Giant open field. If we can catch the dinosaur out here, the T-Rex, I think it'll be a really cool shot, which is kind of him hanging out without that too much trees. Sometimes you got to hang out in open field, and that's what that is. Continuing back around, I kind of dotted some little rock spots or whatnot to kind of flesh it out. But back here is that cool spot I was telling you guys about. I wanted this to basically be a really thick forest pond. So the guests aren't going to see this. This is pretty much just for us and for the T-Rex themselves. But a lot of the big elm forests here, and then it gets really thick, and it's actually pretty deep, all things considered, compared to the other pools. So that's pretty tight. Now back here really just fills out the forest. This is all the elm forest, so there's no birch. Back here it's just big, super thick elm forest. In fact, let's zoom in here and see what this game looks like from the ground edge. Yeah, that's cool. So I really just wanted this to be super thick, right? This is the thickest part of the exhibit, and it's just full of foliage all over the place. Ugh, let me zoom out here. And then, yeah, then it connects back to this little spot, which was the last exhibit, which basically completes the whole area. And this is basically the offshoot hill of the mountain that kind of has everything the mountain has. It's kind of like a micro ecosystem within the giant ecosystem, right? But more specifically, you've got the views from last time right here. I might change these out for glass. I don't know if the T-Rexes are going to break the glass or not. Not really sure. Still, still learning the game. It's early alpha. Um, but yeah, that's basically this exhibit. Let me know what you guys like about it. I'm pretty proud of it, honestly. Took me about, I don't know, an hour or two to kind of fill this whole thing in. Um, and let me know specifically, actually, let me ask you this comment of the day. If you guys made it this far through the video and you don't mind leaving me a comment, let me know your favorite spot out of all these spots, right? So we've got the creek spot, we've got the open field spot, we've got the river spot, and then we've got the rock spot. Let me know which one of those you like the most. It'll be really cool to see what you guys like. I'm curious. If I had to pick, honestly, I'd probably go with the creek spot. I really like this little creek spot. This angle right here is just really cool, and it ends with that creek. The three rocks in the creeks. It's just my little favorite. Oh, I guess if we have one more spot, you guys can let me know if you like this spot too back here. But isn't one of the viewpoints, but it is kind of a cool little spot. Let's see if we can actually catch the dinosaurs, the T-Rexes here, going into their new exhibit. They're kind of hard to spot. Here they are. One's hanging out back. I've spent a few minutes with these guys just to kind of learn the AI of the T-Rexes. They don't do much, I'll be honest. Again, it's alpha, but they pretty much just sit, they roam around. They do fall asleep like this, which I think is pretty cool. Give us a yawn there, very nice. But yeah, they're not super mobile, and they don't have a whole lot that they really do. So they might actually not even make it over there. They're pretty content to be lazy all day. I don't blame them, you know. It's a good life. So yeah, they'll probably just hang out, and eventually they'll wander over there, or maybe they won't. We'll just pick them up, and put them there. That's not the point. I have a lot of fun just building out exhibits for these dinosaurs, and working with the foliage tools and the terrain tools. It's a lot of fun. So looking forward, guys, I am basically going to kind of zigzag our way down here. So the very last exhibit is most likely going to be the desert volcano, which I'm super excited for, and that's going to have our scorched T-Rexes. Um, but we're going to be kind of expanding the park as we go. And I think if you guys have seen my Parkosaurus series, first, thank you. Second, the way I've done it in that is that I kind of did the exhibit, and then afterwards in my own time I would come back and do the paths and stuff. I'm going to do it kind of opposite this time. I really want to start doing the paths and the benches and all that, and then so I have stuff like this set up so that once I bring you guys in at the beginning of the episode, this will already be built so that we kind of have a cool looking path. We already know where our windows are, our points of interest to design out main spots to be. And while I'm doing the time lapse, the surrounding area doesn't look bland and boring, right? It's got a little bit of character. So once everything gets fleshed out like this, everything comes together and it looks like one big natural habitat that you just happen to put fences and roads through, right? It all blends in together. All right, folks, for the outro, I went ahead and grabbed our T-Rex here and plopped him in my favorite spot of today. Hopefully, we'll see him walk around and do stuff. They're a little bit not a little bit lackluster, but that's something that we can give them back feedback, all the dev teams, so they can continue working on the AI of the dinosaurs. But so far, I'm loving this game as far as the foliage goes and the exhibit designing. As far as alpha, doesn't have too much, but what it does have is pretty awesome. So I'm gonna go ahead and end the episode today, guys. I thank you for joining me. If you enjoyed that, do all that good YouTube stuff. Thank you for joining me on the ride, and give me a like and a share and a comment, yada yada yada. It's super appreciated. It really does help. But until next times, guys, I will catch you later. Peace.